Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Financial Coach Master Training Informational Webinar. My name is Chris Campbell. I'm the Director of Coaching here at Dave Ramsey, and I'm joined today by Bill Lowe, the Senior Director of Financial Coaching. Guys, we are super pumped to be able to talk with you here today. This is our very first webinar of October, and we had well over 3,800 people registered for this webinar today. And so we're going to have a lot of people that are going to be listening live with us. We're excited for you guys to be able to join us live. And then we also got a lot of people that are going to be listening in later on tonight and the rest of this weekend here wanting to learn more about Financial Coach Master Training. So here's the thing I'd tell you. If you're joining us live, make sure you take good notes. If you're listening in later on, which is not a problem at all, make sure and listen to the entire webinar because we're going to do some Q&A at the end. We don't want to just talk at you. We want to talk with you. We want to share, of course, everything you need to know about how you can use training to affect your community and change people's lives and also change your life. But we also want you to ask questions, right? So you're going to learn some things today. You want to get those things qualified. You want to understand that better. And we want to use our Q&A time at the end to make sure and answer those questions. How do you ask those questions? At the bottom of your screen, there's a little Q&A tab. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see that. Click that. That'll allow you to type your questions in. And then we'll make sure and answer those right there at the end. So again, guys, we're really pumped up to be with you. We have been training financial coaches, guys, for 20 years coming up here in just a few short months. And as a matter of fact, Dave Ramsey started this whole thing, whole Ramsey Solutions, the radio station, the books, before any of all that happened. We were doing coaching almost 30 years ago, fresh out of his bankruptcy. So everything we're going to share with you today kind of has grown from that kind of tragic situation into now we're affecting millions of people around the country, around the world, and our coaches are seeing tremendous impact. So let's hop into it and talk kind of about the state of America, Bill, and kind of what's going on around the country of why the need for financial coaches.
Yeah, awesome, Chris. Hey, everybody. Thank you very much, Chris, for that nice introduction there. You know, Chris and I love doing these webinars. It's really either the highlight or one of the top few highlights of our week. We're really honored you have chosen to carve out some time in your valuable schedule to hang out with us virtually here in Nashville, Tennessee. And so I always like to start with kind of sharing what our team's mission statement is. It's pretty simple and straightforward. It's we train, develop, and support world-class coaches. That's what we're all about. That's what we get out of bed in the morning and come to work all fired up to do, is to do those three things. We're pretty passionate about equipping people to make a difference in their community, whether that community is here around the country, around the United States. More and more, frankly, it's becoming true from people outside of the United States. They're looking to make a mark elsewhere. And so those are both really good things. Here's the deal, guys. Sad fact is that the typical person here in America, around the world, their financial behavior is pretty doggone unhealthy, and their finances are pretty close to a wreck. That's just what's going on. 7 million people today in the United States are at least 90 days past due on their car note. The average car payment is pushing $500. The average car note, the average today is 6 years, and 25% of the time, it's 7 years. Cars really, you could make I think you'd probably agree, Chris, Yep. Cars are killing people in this country. 100%. Honestly, we like nice cars as well as anyone else, but these people that are worshiping at the house of a fancy car are just wrecking their finances. For those people who have credit card debt, 48% of them, almost half, are making minimum payments. So think about that. They're making minimum payments at 17, 18, 20, 25% or so. It's just a real big deal. So I'm going to kind of, again, to Chris's point, set the stage and talk about really what's going on today with the average American. Let's take a look at that. And again, these stats I'm going to share with you are true whether you're here in Nashville or you're in New York, whether you're up in Minneapolis, Miami, whether you're out in California or Connecticut. It's true everywhere you are. And so, you know, one data point is that today in America, 39% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency. And so really what that means is that there's a significant population out there that are one bad alternator, one HVAC system going down in August, one new set of tires that needs to happen on a car from a real pickle. Right? Now, number one, the slide says emergency. Every once in a while, it really is a true emergency, but almost always what we're really talking about, guys, is a really super annoying inconvenience, right?
That's correct.
You haven't planned, because guess what? Fuel pumps go bad, alternators go bad, 12-year-old HVAC systems, are going to stop working. And if you haven't been intentional to put money in your budget to save up for that stuff, you have no choice but to pull out Visa and finance that new set of tires, for example, at 18, 20, 25% or less, or more, excuse me, okay? Data point number 2, today in America, 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, Chris, I love a take that you have on this, because oftentimes we're asked, hey, Bill, hey, Chris, what do you mean by paycheck to paycheck? And I like how you explain this with a real life scenario that happened not that long ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Beginning of this year, 2019, our government went through a shutdown, also known as a furlough, right? I mean, people were furloughed, and it affected about 800,000 people, 800,000 Americans that work for the government. And if you watched Fox and CNN a lot, which I highly discourage, creates a lot of anxiety in your life. But here's the deal. If you were watching those news channels as they were covering the government shutdown, people were standing in line to feed their family. Now, this is what we saw, but then we also have good friends in the FBI that work with our training. We have people that are a part of the Navy SEALs that work with our training, people that work in the government that have been through our training and work inside of our training. And they were saying, listen, the vast majority of those people, almost every single person, missed one paycheck. Now, here's the reality. Why are people in a business that seems like we go through a furlough or go through a shutdown every so often, why are they living paycheck to paycheck, and why are they standing in line to feed their family? It's not an income problem. It's because they were on the knife's edge already, right? And here's the reality. That's a small sample size of 800,000 people that we all watched on our TVs. But here's the thing. You can't see your neighbor next door. Their lives are not being televised, right? And that's what's going on in their world too. You just can't see it the same way. That's the reality of what's going on in America with paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, really what we're talking about here is that there's a lot of people that have zero margin in their financial life. If anything goes sideways, big, little, or small, they're pretty much sunk. Now, here to the exact point that my buddy Chris here just made, many, many people are living behind what I call this mask of prosperity. And that's exactly what Chris is talking about. Right. They're living this Facebook, this Instagram self. All they're projecting out to their friends and family and coworkers in their community is a fancy car, and look at the surprise vacation to California, or the new iPhone 11, which the commercials, I laugh at those commercials. Look, I have an iPhone. I like iPhones. But when Apple, and I'm a big Apple fan, by the way, when Apple's commercials talk about the hot new colors, right, or that it has 3 cameras on it, right, 15 cameras on the phone, yeah. I'm out. My iPhone 8, by the way, works just fine. Yeah. But I digress, okay? But that's all you're hearing about is all this fancy, bright, shiny toys and so forth that people are projecting out there. I promise you guys, and it's not a good thing, it's a really sad thing actually, that behind that mask of prosperity, there are a lot of people that are living under huge stress, right? They're in tears, they're tossing and turning at night, they're fighting with their spouse, they're stressed out of their gourd about their state of their finances, but they're living it in isolation behind that mask. And so, again, that's really what's going on in America today. And it's time for a change, guys. It's really past time for a change. One of the coolest aspects of the business that Chris and I get to be part of is the people that are coaches, Les, Lisa, and Tim. You'll hear more about that in a little bit. The people that they coach, or even better sometimes, is the people that we train to be a coach will give us feedback about what's happening out there. And more, we are seeing green shoots. We're seeing the light bulb go off. And people, as Dave says, are acknowledging, they're raising their hand, and they're saying, I am, in fact, sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of being stressed out of my gourd. I'm willing to make some short-term sacrifices, sometimes some hard short-term sacrifices to set me and my family up to win long-term. And they're raising a hand and says, I need help. And a Ramsey-trained coach is the solution that many of those folks are choosing to accelerate their progress.
Yeah, really good stuff. So that's why we wanted to show you those 2 slides and share those stats with you is to talk about the need, of course, of financial coaching. In this world today, there are so many different types of financial professionals. There's financial advisors, which sell investments and insurance. There's CPAs that do your taxes. There are people that sell insurance and things like that. But what do people do when they're in the state that the average American is in, right? Where they have debt, where they don't have a college plan, where they're fighting with their spouse. Where do those people go? Well, here's the reality. There isn't anywhere to go. That's why there's a need for financial coaches. And we wanted to show you this absurd stat, which, trust me, I wish it wasn't real, but that represents 255 million Americans. So when I'm asked the question, when I'm talking to someone about coaching, how in the world do I find people? It's almost like they're everywhere. They're all around you. And that's really what you should see here. So let's talk about how the training is conducted. So if you take Financial Coach Master Training, we actually conduct that 100% online. It's a self-paced course. We see that the average coach completes our training in about 30 to 45 days, but you have a full year to complete our training. We have something really cool I'm going to share with you in a little bit on how we can help you with even more time as well. But you get 1 year full access to the online program, again, self-paced. And you can take that really from anywhere. Just this past week, we had people from South Africa taking our course, people from Australia taking our course, people from Alabama taking our course. I'm joking, guys, but people from all over the world take FCMT. And here's the reason why. We deal with financial behavior, behavioral finances. It's how you act with your money. Has nothing to do with taxes. It has nothing to do with what investment you put your money into. Listen, I can throw a football with any one direction and hit a CPA or hit a financial advisor. That's not what coaches do. That's why if you want to help your community, wherever you live in the world and you have internet access, we can teach you how to help your neighbors win with finances. Now, what type of background do you need? Well, we have people from all over the world with all kinds of different backgrounds. As a matter of fact, I had a lady just this morning say, do I have to have a degree in order to be a financial coach? Well, the answer is just simply no. You can have more degrees than a thermometer and still not be a financial coach. That's not what makes you really good at finances. We have coached many people that are CFPs, certified financial planners. We've coached people that are CPAs. We've coached people that are CFOs. We have coached all up and down the line of people who have the degrees in finance, but they're not really there with their behavior with finance. Here's the thing about our CEO. Our CEO has a degree in finance. He had his license in insurance. He had his license in investments. He had $4 million in real estate. And then he went completely bankrupt. That's Dave Ramsey at the age of 26, went completely bankrupt, chapter 7. He stands before crowds of people today, not because of all those things I told you about. And he'll say that. What academia taught me really is not good. That's not what I should have been operating on. He goes, I stand before you today now because I've taken personal responsibility for my personal finances, and now I'm winning with it, and I want to show you how to do the same thing. That's what our coaches do for people. So whether you're a teacher, a firefighter, a pastor, maybe you're church staff, stay-at-home mom, maybe you're one of those Navy SEALs that we're talking about, right? A professional athlete, we've had some of those guys come through as well. Maybe you are a real estate agent or a CPA or a financial advisor. Many of those bottom three I just shared with you right there, they'll add this to the service they're already providing. But again, they're not financial coaches and we're not them. It's the same thing. So here's what you should understand. There isn't this blueprint. There isn't this background that you got to have if you want to be a financial coach. We can teach you how to work with people, how to help them get change in their personal finances. Because here's the deal. People hire a coach because they want to get results with that person they cannot get on their own. That's what every successful person in any industry will tell you. I got a coach in this area and it made me better than what I was. Everybody sees that. LeBron James, best basketball player in the world. He has a basketball coach. He could destroy him one-on-one, but he wants to work with someone who can see things and get him results that he could never get on his own. That's why the background doesn't matter. Now, what are you going to learn, Bill? Let's talk about what do you learn in the training?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. So FCMT, or again, we tend to abbreviate around here, but Financial Coach Master Training, it's really a virtual online training program, and it's built from the ground up for busy active adults. We break it up into little bite-sized pieces so you can methodically work your way through the program at lunchtime, on a break, on a Saturday morning, and a couple hours at night or an hour at night. Again, it's built. We recognize who's taken our training. There's really 14 core lessons in the program, and your guides throughout those 14 lessons are Dave Ramsey and Chris Hogan. Again, you all know who Dave is, I'm assuming. I won't waste a lot of time credentializing him. But Chris Hogan, again, is a pretty big deal. Number one, he was a coach on our team for 10 years, right? He's not a talking head. Yes, you see him on Fox and Friends and Good Morning America, and corporate America pays him big bucks to come out and talk to their leadership team. But at his core, he was one of the 7 coaches that we've had on our team over the last 30 years, okay? So we put a lot of thought in how we put the training program together and how it's laid out. And so I want to talk about how we do that real quick. So first of all, just like building a house, we feel that it's really important to lay a strong foundation, okay? So we're going to do that by 4 kind of foundational lessons that are all about coaching process and really understanding and getting to the root of somebody's financial issues that you're coaching. Talking about different coaching models. There's many ways that you can skin a cat when you work with somebody, so we're going to walk through that with you. We're going to help you recognize and understand and effectively work with different personality styles.
Yeah, guys, these 4 lessons are really the core of becoming a financial coach. This is where you're dealing with the emotional, psychological, relational aspect. See, money is in the psych department, not the math department.
Right.
And when you do these 4 lessons, this is really what you're going like, what in the world do I say in my first session? What forms do I use? Like, how do I really do coaching? That's the hard part. And that's why if you don't get the foundations right, nothing else will make sense.
Yep, absolutely. And so from there, we're going to get up into what we call the crisis modules. And I do, again, air quotes here from Nashville, the scary stuff. By the way, once you really understand what's going on with student loans, bankruptcies, foreclosures, dealing with collectors, once you separate the truth from the noise and you become well grounded in those topics, really stops becoming scary, and it just becomes something that you have to be confident in walking somebody through. After that, we're going to layer on future planning, talk about big picture estate planning, big picture retirement, big picture insurance, and then we're going to put a roof on the thing, just like you do a house, and we're going to help you launch your coaching practice. I cannot overemphasize how important it is to our team, to Dave himself, that somebody takes our training and then gets out there and launches and does something with it, makes an impact in their community as part of the solution.
Yeah, guys, this is where I think, Bill, we always see that a lot of people like to start here, right?
Yep.
Like, how in the world do I launch my practice? How do I find people? How do I market myself? And kind of going back to what we said a moment ago, if you don't lay that foundation and learn how to coach, well, it's kind of like the dog catching the squirrel. It's like, now what? Now what do I do? We don't want you to walk into that situation. So yeah, we're going to talk to you about how to market and message your practice. And some of these things are going to turn it up on its head for you, right? Because what you think you have to do, what you think you have to go out and buy, what you think you have to create is really just not there.
Yep.
Finding clients and prospecting. Chris Hogan does a phenomenal job in Lesson 12 getting into that and talking about like your belief system, the mental barriers you have to finding people, and then how do those conversations go and networking with other professionals that are doing that, like the CPAs, like the financial advisors. Mm-hmm. Those things really get you going out there after you now have learned how to coach. Now it's appropriate and time to launch.
Yep. So really the secret sauce, as I call it, to the whole training program, those 14 core foundational lessons are awesome. Again, Hogan and Dave are excellent guides to get you through those 12 lessons. But the secret sauce of the whole thing, frankly, is the access to our team and to Lisa, Les, and Tim. Would you agree, Chris?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the consistent feedback as people enjoy and recognize and just are just so jacked to have access to our team. So we give you access to our team. We have 3 on our team right now, Lisa, Les, and Tim, all 3 super experienced, tenured coaches. They know what they talk about. They know what they're talking about. We also do live interactive small group calls. There's actually 4 times during those core lessons that we have you pause and register for a small group development call led by Lisa, Les, or Tim with 3, 4, or 5 of your peers that are at the exact same moment in the training. And we break down the content that you just went through, gives you a chance to talk about it, ask questions, clarify the whole thing. Again, really, really cool stuff. Frankly, it's the number one rated piece of the entire training. We do a lot of surveys throughout FCMT. We want to hear what you have to say, what you like, what suggestions you have. But consistently, these small group interactive calls are the number one rated thing. And I think it's because of that secret sauce, Chris, where they're getting the awesome content led by Dave and Hogan. Then you weave in the touch points with Les, Lisa, and Tim, and others on our team. It really makes a ton of sense. Lastly, we have this thing called Real Talk webinars. 2 times a month, we invite the whole shooting match. Anyone, no matter where you are in the training, either actively in the training, maybe you completed it and you're still within your year, you have an opportunity to register for these Real Talk webinars where Lisa, Les, and Tim will break down, maybe they'll have a theme for that hour, and they'll talk about something in depth that's really relevant and impactful to being a coach. They'll share their stories, their history, things that they struggle with, a client situation that they just dealt with yesterday that you would probably want to hear about and know about, right? And we record those, so if you can come live, that's fantastic. But even if you can't, we'll send you out a recording and you can listen to it at night or on Saturday morning and benefit from that call.
Yeah, guys, the access to the pros, to Bill's point a minute ago, that's what you're taking, the learning, the self-paced learning that we talked about a bit ago. And then now when you're doing this, it creates that blended learning experience because listen, Lisa, Les, and Tim are the people who coach Dave's friends and family and people that come in off the radio. Things that Dave says, listen, we're going to take care of that. He trusts no one more than these 3 coaches. They pour into things all around our company. If our company needs help with subject matter experts, Lisa, Les, and Tim are those experts. These are the people that are going to wrap their arms around you. That's why access to the pro really separates us from everybody else. Anything else you could ever find, they're not going to have this level of that type of trust coming from Dave Ramsey. Now, as I mentioned a little bit ago, you do get 1 year full access to the entire training and everything we're talking about right here. So it's not something, again, you got to burn through. However, again, we see most people complete this course in about 30 to 45 days on average, just a few hours a week because it is 100% self-paced and online. All right. So what else do you get? So all the lessons, all the access to the pros. We also give you some fantastic bonus items. Really, we wanted to put those in there as the more you learn, the more you earn. You unlock these items as you're walking through. You get Financial Peace University. If you've never taken that course, it's online, then we want to give that to you. That's included after lesson 2. If you've already taken that, or maybe you led FPU, fantastic. Use it as a giveaway with your first coaching client. What better to do than to do like a tandem deal there, working with you and going through FPU. We also give you DISC test, which is what you'll take, again, not to learn more about you. That's great. But how in the world do you communicate with people that are not like you? Their personalities are different than you. We want to show you how that works, how Dave Ramsey does that, how Chris Hogan does that. He has a fantastic lesson in lesson 4 on that, but we want you to really take the test as well. Every $1 plus, ebooks and more. Again, the more you learn, the more you earn as you walk through the course. Those items are given to you as well. All right. What about once you complete the course? What do you get? Well, you earn the designation of a Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. Now, you can use that in your marketing. You can put that on your business cards. You can put that on your website. Whatever you want to do, that is yours to keep. Now, here's something really cool. We're not one of those organizations that says, you got to keep coming back. You got to keep coming back to keep up that designation. No, we feel like once you've earned that, you're good. Now you want to go do something with it. We're more concerned about you going and doing something with it than we are you coming back and getting recertified every 10 minutes. That's not what we're about. So you earn that. You get to keep that as well. Now, for our CPA friends out there, in which we're seeing a growing percentage of people, because just a few short months ago, we were accredited by NASBA. They're actually here in Nashville. We just got approved. FCMT just got approved for 44.6 total technical credits. So if you're a CPA, that's over a year's worth of CPEs that you need. You're going to learn an awesome new skill set. And as a bonus, you get over 40 hours worth of total CPEs as well. So it's almost a no-brainer if you're a CPA out there wanting to add something to your practice to separate you from everybody else. And you also get some cool CPEs out of it as well. All right, now let's talk about after graduation. So someone knocks out this course and they're like, okay, Chris, what do people go do when they get done with the training? Well, I'm going to give you 3 things that I see, and we've seen this in droves. Bill and I have been doing this about 10 years, and we've seen this forever. So we see people launch a ministry. Now, here's the key about launching a ministry. They're choosing not to charge. Now, why do I say it that way? because they can choose to charge as well. Even in a ministry. I talked to a pastor the other day about that. He said, hey, if I wanted to charge at our church, if our church wanted to charge some nominal fee to help people with this, could we do it? I'm like, absolutely, why not? But ultimately, most people who do a ministry choose not to charge. They work in benevolence ministry. Maybe they work with a nonprofit in town. They're supporting ministries at church. A lot of times those benevolent ministries, before we'll pay your bills, the church would say, we're going to set you down with a financial coach. My pastor runs a mega church, tells me this all the time. He said, listen, every time someone comes in and says, we need help keeping our lights on, I say, great, let me see your budget. And if I see a $200 a month cable bill on there, we're going to say, cut that off first. We're here to provide your needs, not your wants. Let's get that established. Let's help you win long-term rather than helping enable bad behavior. The second thing is we see people launch a coaching business. Now, I'll lead out with this. They choose to charge. These are people who they understand the value that they create for people. They solve major problems, guys. The number one cause of divorce in America is money fights. Most people don't have a plan for their junior in college to junior in high school to go to college. Most people don't have a plan for retirement. Most people make plenty of money. I've never really met many people in America that are going, I just don't know how to make money and I don't know how to get ahead. Well, listen, guys, America is the most affluent nation on the planet. People illegally try to get in here to make money because it's so readily available. That's the way you have to think about this. That's the way America is. So when we meet somebody, we really have to change the mindset there. The average coach out there, and they're called our Ramsey Preferred Coaches. We survey them all the time. The average coach in that group charges between $100 and $200 per session. And a session, guys, is about 60 minutes. And they usually will meet with a client on average 5 to 7 sessions. We're seeing a lot of coaches nowadays meet with clients on average of 6 months or 12 months. Here's another thing too. If you're doing coaching as a business, one of the things that's almost a no-brainer to do that's completely optional is called our Ramsey Preferred Coach Program. So like if you want additional referrals, if you want additional ongoing development with our team, if you want to be a part of a fantastic coaching community of people that are doing coaching as a business, Ramsey Preferred Coach is one of the best things you can do. That is optional and additional after the training. Again, you don't have to do it, but it's something, if you're going to do coaching as a business, I highly recommend that you look into once you complete the training. And so much so, we have a full-on another webinar once you knock out the training about that program if you want to do it. All right. Now, the third thing I see people do is personal and professional development. This is like banks or churches or law enforcement or military. I mentioned the FBI and the Navy SEALs. Guys, they deal with people that are in crisis in their life. Our military has tons of people that are struggling with finances. The suicide rate is insane out there. Dave Ramsey's organization is in the 7th richest county in the nation. A law enforcement official was contacted the other day and said, what's the number one call that you get in that county? And it was people who are on potential suicide watch that can't afford their home in the 7th richest county in the nation. These people who come to this training, they know they're engaging with people who have really issues in their life, and money is one of the number one things that they're dealing with. So guys, we see people launch a ministry. We see people who choose to charge and launch a coaching business, or we see people who go and just do it for personal and professional development. That's what we see people going and doing after graduation. So now that we've kind of told you everything about the training, what you can do once you wrap up the training, what we're seeing people do in droves, and guys, our like Ramsey Preferred Coaches I told you about, we have about 520 of those nationwide. There's no city in America that is oversaturated with coaches. Whether you want to do it for any of those three I just shared with you, the need is vast. The amount of people is small. So if you chose to get started, how would that look? Well, if you're on here live with us today, we're going to shoot you out an email here in a couple hours with all the details on how to get started and what that'll look like. So if you're on live, we're going to get you an email out on how to get that going. If you're not live with us and maybe you're watching the recording, you can actually pop over to FCMT online. You can see a full breakdown of the training and everything that we're talking about here today, all the lessons and everything that I shared with you. You can see that, but you can also enroll in the course on FCMT online as well. Now, the training normally costs $17.95, but I want to show you something that we put together for the month of October, that it is the largest deal that we've ever done with Financial Coach Master Training, and I'm happy to share it with you. You're the first group to know about this. Let me share it with you right now. The first thing we're doing, if you got to use this promo code FALL19, we give you $175 off the training. So the normal training is $17.95. you get $175 off. That makes it $1,620. That's available for 150 enrollments for the month of October or through Halloween. You get it through Halloween at midnight. All right. 3 more things. The second thing is we're giving you a really nice Colonel Littleton leather portfolio. Now we're having these made, so they will actually be shipping out the first week of November. Okay. These are super, super nice. And we only offer these a few times a year. Bill, you going to say something about that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm always compelled to say here that I want you, don't fly by this and in your mind's eye, look at that image and say, oh, that's just some kind of pleather thing you get at Office Max or Staples. I promise you guys, again, go to colonellittleton.com. We've met the Colonel. There really is a Colonel. Yeah. This guy's really odd but awesome, full chaps and duster and cowboy hat. But he's in this little tiny town in southern Tennessee called Linville, and he's got this company where he makes heirloom quality leather products. Yep. This portfolio here, our team carries them. Dave carries one. They will last you a lifetime. You'll pass it down to your kids and your grandkids. It's really cool. Yep. I just don't want you to think this is some goofy thing at Office Max. No. This is the real deal, guys.
Everybody that gets one of these, we always get feedback on how insanely awesome they are. So I got 2 more things I want to show you. The third thing is the launch plan. So one of the number one things we get asked is, how do I launch? How do I find people? How do I market myself? How do I create content? What tools do I need to have set up? Everything that we talk about, we've interviewed hundreds of coaches, and we have the best coaches in the country that poured into this. From what email system they use, to how do they take payment, to how do they handle websites, to everything you can imagine, all the toolbox and the launch plan, that's included. So after lesson 14, you unlock that. That's something that we've had in for a few months, and it trust me, the feedback on that, people say, listen, that was worth the full training in and of itself, in addition to everything I just got. Now, here's the last thing I was going to share with you. With that fall 19 code, and this is what separates this from any deal we've ever ran. Yep. I remember I've said this a few times, you get 1 year full access to it. Well, something that we're going to do for just the month of October right now is you get 3 years for the price of 1. Now, what does that really mean? If you complete the course by 12/31/19, so you have all the way through the end of this year, and I've told you, most people complete this course in 30 to 45 days, so that's completely doable. We're going to give you 2 more years access to the training. So the first week of January, we'll send you a code that'll give you 2 more years if you complete by 12/31. And so people who knock out the training in less, if they don't do it in 1 year or they want 1 more year access, they pay $800 more for that. We're giving you 2 more years access to the training if you finish it by 12/31. So guys, let me say those things one more time. You get $175 off. You get the awesome Colonel Littleton leather portfolio. We also give you the launch plan. And then if you complete the course by 12/31, you get 2 more years of training access to the full training and everything. It's the biggest discount we've ever ran with bonuses and everything for FCMT. This is where we're doing it for October. All right. So guys, that's what it's looking like. So let's get to your questions. I know you guys have questions. I'm going to go ahead and throw up my contact information. So if you need anything from me, you want to ask some questions. Also, Ben and Ashton will also be reaching out to you as well to answer any personal questions, schedule appointments with you. If you have any questions, they're on our team. Very knowledgeable people, can really help you out there as well. So let's get to your questions right now.
Here's a good one to get us started, Chris. John asks, do you have to be debt-free to be a financial coach?
Yeah, really great question. So the answer is simply no. It's actually a big misconception that you got to be debt-free to work at Ramsey Solutions. What you do have to have is a plan. If you don't have a plan that you're actively working and you want to be a financial coach, the answer is no, you don't need to be a financial coach. If you have debt and you have a plan that you're actively working, yes, you can become a financial coach. Who better than to help someone than someone who's walking through it themselves, which is a really great thing. Audrey asked a really great question. She said, hey, is there a referral program for Ramsey trained coaches? Yep, talked about it a few minutes ago. It's called our Ramsey Preferred Coach Program. So after you complete the training, you're eligible to interview and apply for that program. You'll do an interview with Jeremy on our team. He'll walk you through everything. You have a full webinar to watch on that program. And generally, that's for people who want to do coaching as a business. Really great supplemental referrals in there, tons of development, tons of community in there as well. All right.
Let me take this one, Chris.
Okay.
It's in regards to, is there a payment plan for FCMT? We get this question most webinars, so I'm happy to answer it. We don't offer a payment plan. Frankly, it'd be pretty easy for us to QVC it and break it up into easy pay and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to do that. Really, we would think if we did that, you would owe us money, and that'd be pretty phony baloney on our point of view. So if you want to do this and you don't have the money put aside, it's cool. Save up for it. Add a line item in your budget. When you're ready to get started, give Chris a call, shoot him an email.
Yep.
He'll help you get started.
Saw two really good questions from Brian and Dan. Brian says, hey, in the crisis section, can you expand a bit more on how you prepare us to speak and help folks with student loans and bankruptcies and foreclosures, collectors? That section scares me the most, since I've never experienced those, thankfully. Man, I agree with you, Brian. Well, here's the deal. What we really want to do is talk to you about the mental barriers that people are experiencing. Here's the best way not to have your student loans paid off, is to march in front of a courthouse with a ball and chain attached to you. Never going to go away by you walking doing that. So what we do is we go through two things, just using student loans as the example. We talk about how to prevent the mess, because that's always easier than to clean one up.
Right.
But then we also talk to you about what's the mindset you've got to shift to. So it's not about you. One of the things that we always tell coaches is that we should never let our personal situation, whether we've been in the worst, because I have the opposite, Brian. I have people say, man, I filed bankruptcy. How can I ever help anybody? Whether you're in that situation or like you and you've never walked through any crisis. And this is the nicest way I know how to say it. It's not about you. It's about them. So we talk to you about how to make it about them. A coach has to do three things, Brian, to be successful. The first is understand their situation, not the lack of yours or the most of yours. Then you have to provide the right information at the right time, of which that's what we talk about. How do you do that? You have to ask the right kind of questions. Asking questions is probably the biggest tool that you have in your coaching tool belt. Because very seldom is the number one question you're asked the real question that they're dealing with. It's kind of the facade. It's the one that they think is the biggest deal. It's the same thing as someone coming in with a massive head wound into the ER that has a hangnail on their toe, and they're like, I really want to focus on the hangnail. And the doctor's like, no, I get it. We can address that real quick. You have a massive issue over here, and being able to talk to them about that. So we really get down in the weeds and talk to you about how to prevent things, and then also how to deal with it in the middle. Dan has a secondary question, which I thought was really good. He said, hey, listen, is it possible to be a coach as a side hustle? Obviously, income is getting to the base number of clients, but do you find people who are interested in part-time coaches? Really great question.
Yeah, great question.
Most people do coaching part-time. We have a percentage, and it's a growing percentage of people who are going full-time with coaching, but most of those people in Ramsey Preferred Coach are doing this part-time, and they're growing it into a full-time gig. Dave calls that getting the boat closer to the dock. We never tell someone like, oh, you like this training? Quit your job and go become a coach. That's unwise, and you wouldn't do that anyway, but that's where we want to say, yes, most coaches are like you're thinking, Dan. They want to do part-time coaching. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, Connie asked a question about I'm kind of putting it together. Is there any back-end requirements or any additional materials to buy, right, Chris? Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. Yeah, the bottom line is there isn't. Okay, again, with the exception if you want to be a Ramsey Preferred Coach after the training, that is a separate program with a separate price point. But in terms of FCMT, the price that you pay for the training covers the entire shoot and match. There are no back-end materials to purchase. There are no gotchas. And by the way, since we're on the topic about coaching as a business, if you aspire to coach for a business inside of RP, Ramsey Preferred Coach or not, every penny that you generate from that coaching business is yours to keep. We don't take a slice of that. We're not running a franchise here.
We're not doing
Again,
that.
We high five you from Nashville if you charge for coaching.
Yeah, Chuck has two good questions here. How much does it cost for couples to do the training at the same time? Well, let me take it a step further. How much does it cost for two people in any capacity to take the training? We offer a really stellar discount for two people. It's almost $1,000 off the total rate. And so the way you do that is you're on our store page, you would put in quantity 2. There's no promo code needed. You still get the awesome bonuses that we're talking about this month, and you get almost $1,000 off the total order. It's almost a no-brainer if you have two people, especially if they're a couple, that want to take our training. Your secondary question is this: when doing this as a side business, how much of the tools and forms from Dave Ramsey are you allowed to use without violating copyright laws? Love that question. Everything we give you in the coach training, we want you to use. Matter of fact, I'm mad if you don't use it, okay? So it's not about violating laws. We're giving you everything every single form we use in our coaching practice, we give you, and we want you to go use it. So there's no way you can violate anything. Love that question as well. Let's see here. Oh, Tim asked a great question. Hey, man, why would I want 2 more years of training access after completing the training? Love it. I've actually had the other thing come back and people say, what if I want more? You're the first person, Tim, ever to ask that question, but I'm really excited to answer it for you. Here's the thing. In the last 3 months, we have built in, we've added a new lesson, updated a lesson, added a whole new training section just in the last 3 to 4 months. You get all the iterative. So anything we change in the program, you're going to want access to that.
Yeah, we didn't build a set it and forget it training program. We are continually iterating. We're continually adding new feature sets, new tools in the program. And to Chris's point, you would have access to that with the additional time.
Yep. Let's see here. Does the training, this is from Jason, does the training give you a detailed process as to follow as a coach clients through different situations? Well, yeah, that's those first 4 lessons. That is our process. That's how we coach people, all the forms we use and everything that we do in our coaching practice here at Ramsey Solutions, that's what we train you on how to do. So that's the whole purpose of this whole thing.
We're also not training robots here too. Again, we need you to adopt our belief system on how to manage your personal finances, but there's definitely room for style points in terms of John could do it slightly different than Cindy and can do it slightly different than Tim. Okay.
Yep. 2 things. Let me cover the if you purchase a year and you say, hey, I want to get access to those additional 2 years. Once you complete the trainings and you have to knock it out by 12/31, we're going to send you another code to use that will leave your access open for 2 additional years. So it's not about, you don't have to purchase that or anything. That's just a bonus we're doing. Let me say it the other way. Let's just say you don't complete the training by the end of the year. Don't worry about it. We're not going to send the 2-year code to you. It's a bonus that we're doing this year for the month of October for people who want additional access. If you don't want that, if that doesn't fit with you, just don't complete it by 12/31. Won't be an issue. Jay says, did you say 45 to 60 days to complete? Is that generally 8 hours a day? No, man, not at all, dude. Listen, the training is about 20 to 25 hours. Most people complete it in 30 to 45 days when they complete the training. And usually that's 2 to 3 hours a week. Okay. And that's self-paced. So you can do it in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, at work, on a lunch break, anywhere you have internet access. The average module is about 11 minutes. So there's no way in the world we would tell somebody they need to take 8 hours a day for 45 days. That would be insane, right, Jay? All right, let's see here. Are there any specific terms we need to sign up upon doing the course and also to sign up after the coaching network? For instance, a free structure that we must use. Thank you for clarifying that, Marcia. No way. We don't want to talk about arbitrary numbers. We want to talk about your value. Now, as I told you, we talk about what the average coach charges. But Marcia, they let us know that. We didn't tell them they had to do that. So you get to choose your structure. But again, the average coach out there that's doing coaching as a business is charging $100 to $200 per hour, but that's what they're choosing to do. Love that question. Let's see here. Christy says, will this program and the launch plan give a specific program and tools to be used for future clients? Yeah, absolutely. It's everything on how to find people. Here's the thing, though, I would advise you on. Tools, especially when it comes to your clients, because they're going to say the same thing. Most people who only focus on tools and not on changing behavior are the same people when you go in their bonus room, you see a Bowflex and a Peloton with laundry hanging on it. That was the tool that was going to change everything. Nope, you still have to get on there and stretch those bands. Nope, you still got to pedal that Peloton. You still got to do it. And so, yeah, we're going to hook you up with everything you got. But are you going to use the Bowflex? Are you going to use the Peloton? That's the bigger question.
Hey, here's a freebie. Here's Bill's editorial comment of the day, by the way, regarding charging. To Chris's point, we don't tell people or mandate what they charge. Mm-hmm. They charge what they charge. I will tell you, however, though, when we're coaching them on development calls and so forth, we encourage them to charge more. And we've stopped being surprised by somebody doing that and getting back to us and say their business doubled, by the way. It's a really interesting phenomenon.
Yep. Getting a lot of questions about the Ramsey Preferred Coach program. So again, I want to remind you, once we wrap up the training, we have a full-on webinar on that. That particular program is fantastic, again, for supplemental referrals. It is additional after the training. It's 100% optional as well. So again, if we need to get a call scheduled up with Ben or Ashton, we can talk you through more of that. But again, today's really, we wanted to focus on FCMT. So love those questions there. Last question here before we do our giveaway, okay? Let's see here. Hang on, guys. I just want to make sure I don't want to cover back over additional questions. So, okay. Oh yeah, I love this question. How young is too young to be a financial coach? Love that question. I also had a question from a guy one time, am I too old to be a financial coach? Well, being a financial coach is you're transferring intellectual capital. So here's the question I have to ask you. At what age will everybody listen to you? That's a trick question. There isn't an age. There will always be someone who won't work with you because you're too young, and you could be 60 years old because they're 80 and they don't want to listen to a 60-year-old. You can also be talking to someone who is 75 years old, or excuse me, that's 25 years old, and you're 75, and they say, well, you're too old. You can't relate with me. Or you're a man, or you're a woman. There always will be a reason someone will choose not to work with you. Here's the beautiful part about a world that has 7 billion people in it. There's 6.9 billion other people that we can go work with. Our problem generally isn't the person that's choosing not to work with us. It's our choice to go on and find someone else. That's where the reality comes in. So anyway, guys, listen, I hope y'all really enjoyed the webinar. We're going to give away an FCMT enrollment today. As I mentioned, Ben or Ashton may be reaching out to you the next couple of days to schedule a call because we couldn't get to all y'all's questions. So we want to get y'all's questions answered. So take those phone calls, schedule an appointment up with Ben and Ashton. Let's get all your questions answered. We're married to you understanding the process, not getting a yes or no. We want to make sure you understand it. So listen, I know there's people on here today that'll be like, oh man, I don't really like Bill and Chris, and I'm not sure I really like coaching, and this feels weird, and that's okay. Listen, we can both still go to heaven, be friends, and this may not be for you. We are an organization that pushes and shoves people towards what they're called to do. If you're not doing what you're called to do, then you need to go find out what that is and go do that with everything you got. If we've put into words what you've been thinking and feeling, like, oh my goodness, I really love what I heard today, we would implore you to come on. We're going to get an email out to you. You can go to FCMT online. You can learn more about it. This thing is changing lives. And I'm telling you, we're on the front end. We ain't even begin the ascent on the mountain of where this thing's going. And we'd love for you to jump in there with us. So listen, the person who won FCMT 1 year free access, and if she knocks it out by 12/31, we're going to give her 2 more years too, is Sabrina Stone. Sabrina Stone, you are the winner of Financial Coach Master Training. Just shoot me an email. It's right there on your screen. That's going to allow me to fire out your code to you. For all my hyper Christians like myself, you know, God didn't tell you to email me in case she didn't get it. Okay, God told me that I'm gonna give it to Sabrina. So that's what we're gonna do. So there you go, guys. So listen, we really appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great afternoon. We can't wait to have you be a part of Financial Coach Master Training. Thanks.